Hello there, welcome back to this week's YouTube exclusive episode. I'm Andrea Sager. If you don't know, I am a mom, author, CEO, attorney, you name it. I know a thing or two about running a business. I know a thing or two about legally protecting that business. And what we're going to talk about today is what they don't tell you about filing an LLC. If you're watching this, I'm sure you've heard of an LLC, limited liability company. Hopefully you know what it means by now. If not, go back and watch another video of mine. I explain everything. But this video is covering what you probably don't know about the LLC and how it can protect you and how it might affect you. So that's what we're covering today. 3 things that you probably don't know about the LLC. Really quick though, if you are not already subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Share this with your other business friends because this is just general business knowledge that all of your business friends need to know. So make sure that you hit subscribe, go back, always listen to all of our podcast episodes. And if you have any questions, drop it in the comments. Always happy to answer all of your questions. Okay. 3 things that we're really going to cover. Number 1 is piercing the corporate veil, the yearly filings, and tax savings. So, number 1, piercing the corporate veil. What this means is with the LLC, what you're getting, that liability protection, essentially there's a veil of protection over you, the business owner. That's the whole purpose of the LLC. But there's this thing called piercing the corporate veil when you do not maintain the requirements of the LLC. Now, there's a whole slew of things, and piercing the corporate veil, that's going to be a whole nother episode. But for now, make sure that you're aware that piercing the corporate veil is a thing. So just because you have an LLC doesn't mean you're automatically getting that protection if you are not also maintaining the requirements of an LLC. And quite frankly, if you're just a bad person and doing fraudulent things, then you're not going to get the LLC protection. But one thing that I want to make sure that we cover specifically on this episode about what they don't tell you about an LLC and piercing the corporate veil is a business bank account. This is such a quick win that you as a business owner can have, and something so easy that a lot of people don't do. But if you do not have a separate business bank account for your business, you can lose that LLC protection. And the courts basically view this as you commingling funds if you do not have a separate business bank account. So the moment you get the LLC, and this is what we tell all of our clients when we file the LLC for them, we send them all their documents and we say, okay, here's all this, go take it to your bank and go get your business bank account. You have to have a separate business bank account to keep everything separate. Because if you commingle funds and you don't keep the two, like your business account and your personal account separate, the court's going to say they don't really have a business. They're not treating it like a business. They're one and the same. So they're just going to get sole proprietor protection, which is no protection. So always make sure the moment you have that LLC, you get a business bank account. And if you have online invoices being paid, make sure they are deposited into that business bank account. Everything for the business is running through a business bank account, not your personal account. And I've had somebody ask, hey, can I just have a separate personal account? No, you need to have a business bank account. Okay, so number 2, and again, there's a lot more into piercing the corporate veil. That's going to be a whole nother episode. Just know it's coming. For now, what you need to know is that you have to have a separate business bank account. Okay, number 2, yearly filings. There's not always an annual fee for your LLC. However, basically every state requires an annual filing. They just want to know what you're up to. How much money are you making? Like in Texas, you have to file an annual report, but you don't have to pay anything to keep the LLC. You just have to file that report. If you're late on that report, it's a $50 filing fee. Now, every state's different. California, you have the $800 franchise tax every single year after your first year of business. Every state's different. So I can't answer for every state. Maybe one day I'll make a separate video for every single state, but right now that's what I have to say. is make sure that you are doing the annual filings, because if not, you can lose the LLC protection, which we see happen more often than not. One reason that you probably want to have a registered agent when you have your LLC is to make sure there's somebody keeping up with all that paperwork. The state is going to send you official paperwork, and that's going to go to your registered agent. You want to make sure there's a responsible party that is receiving that information, receiving that mail, and sending it to you, and making sure all of it's getting done. So, annual filings, it's not necessarily that you have to pay a filing fee every year, but you do most likely have to at least file a piece of paper, put in some numbers. Typically, they just want to know, how much are you making? That's typically the annual filing. And then, has anything changed? New owners, different owners, new address. And you always want to make sure that your information is staying up to date, which our legal success framework, we teach this, always stay in compliance. It sounds so simple, but I can't tell you how many people actually lose their LLC protection because they didn't maintain all of this stuff. They didn't maintain accurate addresses, accurate information, and then they didn't actually keep up with their own mail because they were the registered agent. So they lost the LLC protection. These things are so simple, but they're also so simple to forget about. So don't forget about it. Just make sure it's getting done and file those yearly filings. Okay, number 3, what they don't tell you about your LLC is tax savings. There's a number of ways you can get tax savings. And number 1 is you can actually choose how you're taxed. You've probably heard of the S Corp election by now. The S Corp is not a separate entity in and of itself. It's a tax filing status, which allows you to avoid double taxation. Going from sole proprietor to LLC, you can avoid double taxation. Comes from self-employment taxes. And when you have the LLC, basically there's of course it's slipping my mind, the IRS deduction that allows you to deduct the total cost of certain startup expenses. Sometimes you have to amortize them over time, but when you have the LLC, you can actually take them all that first year. All of this is accounting stuff separate from legal, but they kind of go hand in hand. So just be aware that there 100% are different ways to save on taxes when it comes to having an LLC. A lot of people do know that there's tax savings when it comes to having an LLC, but they don't know the different ways you can save on LLCs, on LLC taxes. So, like I said, you can make the S Corp election. You can also deduct business expenses in your first year, the total cost. So there's options. Basically, the LLC gives you options when it comes to taxes. That's what you need to be aware of. Okay. I know it's a down and dirty, short and sweet. 3 things they don't tell you when it comes to your LLC. Make sure you are not piercing that corporate veil. You're not doing things that can cause that corporate veil to get pierced. Make sure that you are actually doing those yearly filings for the LLC, because if not, you're going to lose that LLC protection. And number 3, tax savings. You have options, lots of options when it comes to the LLC. If you need help getting your LLC filed, thelegalpreneur.com, we help tons of clients. We charge $250 plus your state filing fees. We file it for you, get your EIN, get you an operating agreement, everything you need to then mosey on down to the bank and get that business bank account. And then make sure that you are also getting that registered agent. You can be the registered agent, but if you don't want to be responsible for official mail, Legalpreneur can also be your registered agent. $150 per year. We take care of everything for you. So, legalpreneur.com. Check us out, and I'll see you next time.